Yes, welcome back, beautiful souls. It's your Feel Good Breakfast show, and as parents and adults, we tend to forget how much energy a child actually needs to get through their day sufficiently. Now, with their busy schedule, it is so important for them to load their bodies with good energy, and that is for them to obviously perform every single day. Now, today we are welcoming dietitian Anne-Marie de Beer, who will be discussing why it is so important for our children to have the right kind of energy for their day. Anne-Marie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thank you, and it's really lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's always good having you, especially someone with such wise words of advice for us, and obviously being able to educate us as well. But let's just talk about the kids. Why is it that they need so much energy?
So it's actually quite interesting, and I think one really needs to understand that when children are growing, they need energy 24 hours a day. And unlike us, who's now older and probably outgrown already, we need energy just to survive and to live and to do things, whereas kids need this extra energy because they are still growing. So they need it throughout the day. We can't just give it to them in the morning or in the evening and hope it's going to be sufficient, because it doesn't work that way. They need short bursts the whole day long.
Right throughout that day. And I was looking at a crazy stat, and this does seem to be plausible, because I've seen some kids out there that have a lot of energy. And looking at the statistics right now, it says that children can exert the same amount of energy that you would to complete a half marathon. That's crazy. And they're doing that every day. Is that correct?
That's more or less correct, but we need to see it within context.
Okay.
So a half marathon, you're probably going to need, if it's 13 kilometers or so, probably about 1,100, 1,300 kilocalories.
Yeah.
And a child then, when we look at their energy requirements, we work on their kilograms, so on the weight that they have. So if a child of about 6 or 7 needs anything between 60 to 65 kilocalories per kilogram, then it works out to around 1,500 calories that they need in a day. So, and this is important for the marathon. You only need it for that, or you're burning that
time.
For that period. But the kids need it for the 24 hours.
I got you.
So we just need to be mindful of the fact that although they need a lot of energy, we mustn't give them too much, because we also have a problem of overweight in our country. So it's about the kind of energy that they're having, the kind of nutrients that they have. We talk about empty calories. Empty calories is not good for our children.
We want quality over quantity.
We want quality.
So let's talk about that. Let's be practical with this. How can we give our kids enough energy to sustain them throughout the day?
So I think the first thing, and probably the most important one, is breakfast.
Okay.
For me, I think
first meal of the day. It's
the
important.
First meal of the day. We also need to think about what breakfast means. It's about breaking the fast. So for 8 hours, probably sometimes longer, the kids haven't eaten anything. And I've mentioned earlier on that they are still growing, even when they're sleeping. So they are spending and using quite a bit of energy. So they will wake up in the morning, normally with low energy levels. So that's why breakfast is critical, because once they get into the school environment, now they have to learn, they have to play, they have to engage, they have to socialize. Then food is really second priority. So we need to really help them to be able to manage all those things throughout the day by starting with an excellent breakfast.
Fueling the adventure, fueling the memory-making magic, and all the crazy stuff that they do in the day. So when it comes to certain types of foods then, in order to tick that box and provide that sustained energy, what sort of foods can you include in your child's lifestyle just to kind of make that box a big tick?
So I think our food-based dietary guidelines that we have in South Africa is really a good way of looking at what we need. We need high fiber foods. And when I talk high fiber, it doesn't have to be all bran. It could be a brown bread sandwich instead of just white bread or refined carbohydrates. So make sure that what we give them is substantial. So it's about carbohydrates are very important for our children and for adults, by the way.
That's where all the energy is coming from, yeah?
That's where our energy is coming from. But apart from the energy, we also get our vitamins from there.
Of course.
So grains is a very good source of B vitamins, by example. And even if you look at MILO, that's a source of B vitamins, is because of the carbohydrates that we have there in the form of malt. So that's important. Then the importance of protein is still there, because we need the proteins to grow. And then, of course, vitamins and minerals we need. So it's really a combination of things that we need in the morning. And to exclude any food group from the breakfast is never a good idea. And in fact, for the day.
So it's complete balance, micronutrients, macronutrients, ticking all those boxes and making sure that the child's energized. You mentioned one thing in that conversation right now, and that was on malt, which I see is something that's become very popular, but also it's a big ingredient in Nestlé's MILO, right? What is it exactly that is making this such an important ingredient?
So malt is a very interesting ingredient, you know, one of these ancient ingredients and ancient grains that we've been talking about for, I think at the moment,
it's the
very
buzzword.
much. Yes, exactly. But the way that we use the malt, it actually gets germinated and fermented, and then with the nutrients that we add in terms of the MILO Active Go, which is really the micronutrients, the vitamins and the minerals that we add, the malt itself actually also helps with sustained energy release. So it's preventing us from having those peaks and then the lows. And if we think about children, what we really want for them is to have a sustained energy throughout the day. Now, I have to also just mention here that it's not replacing anything else that the children are eating. This is really MILO Active Go is really just there to provide the nutritional beverage, if you want. So instead of having other drinks, MILO is really fulfilling that space and adding more nutrients, and it's not just empty calories.
I love that. And I'm just thinking of my childhood past. I was a scrawny kid. I had some joint health issues as well. And I remember the doctor specifically prescribing it almost as a medicine. It was malt and cod liver oil. And it was very, very important that I took that. And I still remember to this day how important malt is. And as an athlete now, I still incorporate it in my diet because I think it is exactly that. So, Anna-Marie, thank you so much for educating me and the rest of Mzansi as well, especially when it comes to fueling correctly. And when it comes to our kids and what they're doing in the entire day, you never want them to crash. You want to keep that experience lasting forever. And I think that box has definitely been ticked by Nestlé. So with your information, I think we're in good hands. And I want to thank you again for being in the studio. You've been a breath of fresh air and of good nutrition too.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Absolutely love it. Now for you, Mzansi, whether you like yours hot or whether you like yours cold, malt, cocoa, milk, it's just delicious. And what a way to start your day. Now remember, you can win your very own Sportsman's Warehouse Trolley Dash, and that is worth 20,000 Rand for both you and your school. How awesome is that? Now, all you have to do is buy a tin of Nestlé MILO and enter the competition by following the instructions. And don't forget the T's and C's do apply, and they can be found on their website. So remember to also keep an eye out for the Nestlé MILO. It's go time, because teams are at your local shopping center. So with all that multi goodness, all the nutritional love, I say cheers to you. Cheers, Anna-Marie.
Thank you.
It's still as good as day one. Love it.
It's go time with a cup of Nestlé MILO at breakfast. Give your kids the energy to go further.